Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have another exciting build for you to try out today. It is the Commando Railway Rifle. This is the 3-star legendary railway rifle that I'm using for my build, and the most important effect is the quad effect, plus 300% ammo capacity. Bullets explode for 20% weapon damage, and plus 1 agility. Now, the only legendary effect you need to make this build work is the quad effect, and that'll massively increase your magazine size. Now for the 2nd star, you can either go for an explosive roll like I have here, or you can also go for plus 50% VATS crit damage. And for the 3rd star, you will want less AP cost. Now the mods that I'm using for my gun, the first one is the automatic piston receiver, and this is what turns it into a commando weapon. In order to get the plan for this mod, you will need to be at least level 20, and then you can buy it from various vendors across Appalachia. I'm going to go ahead and flash that across the screen. You can go ahead and pause the video if you need to. The next mod I'm using is a long barrel, the recoil compensating stock, the reflex sight, no muzzle, and the gilded paint. This is the ammo for the railway rifle. It takes railway spikes, and as you can see, without any perks on, you can only craft 3 spikes at a time. If you do have maxed out ammo factory as well as ammo smith equipped, you can get that up to 13 spikes per craft. It is important to note that it only takes steel to craft, no lead required at all, so it is very easy to craft. Though this ammo is extremely heavy, even with bandoliers, so you're not going to be able to carry very much of it at a time. These are the base special stats for the build without any legendary perk cards equipped. I have 3 in strength, 13 in perception, 9 in endurance, 4 in charisma, 9 in intelligence, 8 in agility, and 10 in luck. These are the legendary perk cards that I'm using for my build. The first one is maxed out legendary agility, maxed out legendary strength, maxed out legendary endurance, maxed out legendary luck, rank 2 of Funky Duds, and rank 2 of Sizzling Style. Now for this build you just need 4 maxed out legendary specials, and then Funky Duds and Sizzling Style can both be at rank 1. You don't need to max them out first. I would definitely recommend maxing out those legendary specials first. After that you can definitely work on maxing out Sizzling Style and Funky Duds. These are the regular perks for the build. I will go over these first, and then afterwards I will go over a beginner version in the case that you do not have any legendary perk cards. The first is in strength. I have maxed out Traveling Pharmacy. Weight of all chems are reduced by 90%. I carry a lot of stim packs and chems, so this is needed. Next I have is maxed out Bandolier. Ballistic weapon ammo weighs 90% less. Railway spikes are very heavy, so this is needed for the build. Next one I have is maxed out Blocker. Take 45% less damage from your opponent's melee attacks. Next in Perception I have maxed out Commando, maxed out Expert Commando, and maxed out Master Commando to max out our damage. Next I have maxed out Tank Killer. Rifles and pistols ignore 36% armor and a 9% chance to stagger. This is so we can get armor penetration on our weapon. And lastly in Perception I have 1 rank of Concentrated Fire. VATS now targets limbs, focus fire to gain accuracy and damage per shot. This is so we can focus which part of the body we want to target in VATS. This is a VATS only weapon. Next in Endurance I have maxed out Life Giver, gain a total of 45 of your maximum health. I have rank 3 of Ironclad, gain 30 resistance to damage and energy while not wearing power armor. I have maxed out Chem Fiend, any chems you take last 100% longer. I am taking Overdrive and Psychotats, so this is needed for the build. I have maxed out Fireproof, take 45% less damage from explosions and flame attacks. I have Radical, the greater your Rads, the greater your strength, max plus 5 to strength. This is a bloody build, and so we're going to constantly be having that max plus 5 to strength. Next in Charisma, I have Strange in Numbers. Positive mutation effects are 25% stronger if teammates are mutated too. This is going to increase the power of all your mutations. Next I have maxed out Tenderizer. Make your target receive 10% more damage for 10 seconds after you attack. This is to increase our damage. It's really good against bosses too. Next in Intelligence I have maxed out Nerd Rage. I did say this is a bloodied build, and while 20% health, we're going to gain 40 damage resistance, 20% damage, and 15% AP regen. Next I have maxed out Gunsmith. Guns break 50% slower, and you can craft tier 5 guns. I have this simply because the railway rifle breaks very quickly, so this is going to slow that down significantly. I do have the explosive roll. However, I didn't feel Demolition Expert was needed, as I'm already dealing massive damage. However, if you do have an explosive roll and do wish to use Demolition Expert over Gunsmith, feel free to do so. I just simply chose not to. Lastly, I have one rank of Scrapper. Obtain more components when you scrap weapons and armor. This is just a quality of life mod for me. Feel free to leave it out of the build if you don't need it. Next in Agility, I have maxed out Through Hiker. Food and drink weights are reduced by 90%. I carry a lot of food and drinks, so this is needed for the build. I have one rank of Born Survivor. Falling below 20% health will automatically use a stim pack once every 20 seconds. This is just to increase our survivability when we're not able to stim pack during combat. Next I have rank 2 of Sneak. You are 50% harder to detect while sneaking. Now this is not a sneak build, however I did find it useful to have Sneak in this build. It gives us a little bit of extra survivability, allows enemies to have a harder time of finding us. Next I have is one rank of the Escape Artist. Sneak to lose enemies, and running no longer affects stealth. Again, I have this to increase my survivability. I have this paired with Sneak so that I can lose enemies and try to stay out of their way. Another option is you can drop Escape Artist and Sneak and run rank 3 of Dodgy. Running Dodgy will avoid 30% of incoming damage at the cost of 30 action points per hit. This is good for tanking. However, I initially used this in my build. However, I decided to leave it out. It uses up a lot of AP when you're taking damage, and I came into some situations where I would run out of AP and have nothing to attack with while being surrounded by enemies, so I chose to leave this out. You can definitely swap it in if you don't want to run Escape Artist and Sneak. Lastly, in Agility, I have maxed out Adrenaline, gain 10% damage for 30 seconds per kill. Duration refreshes with kills. This is going to max out our damage. Lastly, in Luck, I have one rank of Serendipity. While below 30% health, gain a 15% chance to avoid damage. This is going to increase our survivability. Next I have maxed out Class Freak. The negative effects of your mutations are reduced by 75%. I am using a lot of mutations on this build that would give us a lot of negative effects, so this reduces those. Next I'm using maxed out Starch Genes. You will never mutate from rads, and Radaway will never cure mutations. I'm using a lot of mutations, so this will lock those in for me. Next I'm using is maxed out Critical Savvy. Critical hits now only consume 55% of your critical meter. This is going to enable you to crit every other shot. Definitely mandatory for the build. Next I'm using Good with Salt. Food in your inventory will spoil 90% slower. This is so I'm not having to constantly craft food and drinks. Lastly, in Luck, I'm using Better Criticals. VATS criticals now do plus 100% damage. And this is the beginner version of the perk cards that I said I would go over. I'm not going to go over these individually. I'm just going to go ahead and leave these up for a moment on the screen. You can go ahead and pause it and copy it down if you need to. This is what I would recommend if you have absolutely no legendary perk cards. And as you can see, I have nothing affecting my specials in here. So if you have no legendary perk cards, this is what I would recommend for the build. It still gives you very good survivability and damage. This is the armor that I'm using for the build. It's a full set of Secret Service Unyielding armor, and the Unyielding effect, you gain up to +3 to all special stats when your health is low. I have this on all 5 pieces. The other stars are not important. All you need for this build is the unyielding effect. What I would recommend is you craft it. It only costs 1 module to craft per piece, and you can get a chance anything from a 1-star to a 3-star. So even a 1-star unyielding will have you set for this build. The mods I'm using, on the chest piece I'm using the jetpack. On the limbs I'm using the ultralight build. And then on all 5 pieces I'm using Bootrist, which will give us the highest damage and energy resistance. I am using the shielded Secret Service armor. This is going to give us the highest damage resistance and stats. And then lastly, I'm using the high capacity free states resistance backpack, and that's going to give us an extra 120 carry weight. These are the mutations that I'm using for the build. The first one is Adrenal Reaction. This one is going to max out our weapon damage at low health. Bird Bones. This is going to reduce our fall speed and +5 to agility. Eagle Eyes. Increases crit damage by 75% and +5 to perception. Egghead, +8 to intelligence. Herbivore, eat veggies but not meat with no disease and 3 times benefits. This is going to give us very powerful food buffs that we're going to be using on the build. Herd Mentality, +3 to our specials while grouped. Marsupial, increased jump height and carry weight. Scaly Skin, this is going to increase our damage and energy resistance. Speed Demon, this will increase our reload and movement speed. Next, I'm going to go ahead and go over the food buffs I'm using for the build. The first one is Tato Juice. It's going to give a max AP +25. Blight Soup is going to increase our crit damage by +125%. Brain Bombs, intelligence +7.5. You do not have to use Brain Bombs. I'm simply using it because I crafted some. However, if you want to use an easier recipe, Brain Fungus Soup. It only uses brain fungus and water, and that'll increase your intelligence by 5. Not quite as much as Brain Bombs, but it's much easier to craft. Next I'm using Corn Soup. It's going to increase our AP regen by 7.5%. This enables us to keep shooting in bats without draining our AP bar. You can use other AP regen foods as well. One I would recommend would be Steeped Fever Blossom Tea. This is Steeped Fever Blossom Tea. It's not too hard to craft. As you can see, it only requires boiled water, fever blossom, honey, soot flower, and wood. The hardest ones that going to be to get is going to be the fever blossom and the honey. The honey you can get, there's a camp item you can buy from Samuel. The beehive, that'll generate honey in your camp, so that's one ingredient down on this list, and then the other one's going to be fever blossom. Fever blossom's a little trickier to find. However, once you do find it, not too hard to find, and this will increase your AP regen by 13%, so double of what corn soup is. Like I said, a little bit harder to craft, but it is worth it, and this will actually last an hour instead of 30 minutes, so this is definitely a different option other than corn soup. Alright, the last couple foods I am using is Silpine Soup. That's going to give us +5 to endurance. And then Tato Salad, max health +75. The only way to get the Tato Salad recipe is going to be from the Graham's Meat Cook event, and it's an extremely rare drop, like a 1% drop rate. So if you are able to get that, you can use it on the build. However, if you are not, don't worry about it. There is no other way to get a max health buff as an herbivore, so that'll be the only way. Alright, I'm over here at Solomon's Pond, and that's so we can take on the glowing super mutant behemoth. And I'm going to go ahead and show off the power of this build, and this is a VATS only weapon, so I will be showing it off in VATS. And before I start, I am using Overdrive and Psychotats. And wow, just look at that damage, just absolutely melted. Alright, and the last place I'm going to show off is I'm over here at West Tech Research Center where all the super mutants live. And I'm going to go ahead and take these guys out. And actually, I'll show you, we can take out their head. Oh yeah, we gotta reload. But yeah, look how crazy that damage is, guys. Look, and I'm still in caution mode too, even though this is not a stealth weapon at all. Like, once you shoot this, the enemies will basically know where you're at. However, since I have the sneak and escape artists, I'm able to stealth somewhat, and this is gonna increase our survivability. As you can see, they're not even attacking us. And these guys are just melted. Well, thank you for checking out my video. If you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe. And I hope to see you all out in Appalachia. I hope you have a wonderful day.